Alright, so everyone keeps talking about AAA this and Blockbuster that, but let's be real for a second. Some of the most fun, creative, and straight-up addictive games come from the AA space. The ones that don't have Hollywood budgets, but do have personality. And 2026 and 2027? Yeah, those years are looking stacked. Here are 37 amazing new AA games that are officially coming and absolutely deserve a spot on your radar. So, let's get into it. Samson: A Tindleston Story is basically a pressure cooker disguised as a video game. You're stepping into the shoes of Samson McRae, a guy drowning in debt while the city of Tindleston itself feels like it's actively trying to crush him. Every move you make matters. Mess up and the city pushes back harder. The devs at Liquid Swords, led by Christopher Sundberg, yeah, the dude behind Just Cause and Mad Max, are promising brutal, grounded combat where desperation fuels every punch, kick, and split-second decision. It's not just about fighting, it's about surviving in a noir-inspired nightmare where the clock is always ticking and choices stick with you. The game's dropping on Steam and Epic in early 2026, rocking cinematic storytelling and next-gen visuals that make the grime and neon of Tindleston pop off the screen. Honestly, it looks like one of those titles that'll have us sweating bullets while yelling at the monitor, and I'm kinda here for it.
You can fight the fuck back.
Supreme Experiment is one of those games that instantly makes you lean forward and go, okay, what the heck is happening here? So here's the deal. It's a first-person sci-fi action-adventure from Argonov Games, set in a world where humanity has basically peaced out, and machines have evolved into their own species, complete with tribes, cults, and even gods. You're dropped into this eerie, post-human Earth where survival isn't just about blasting robots. It's about unraveling the mystery of how we fell and whether there's anything left worth saving. The devs are promising immersive sim mechanics, atmospheric exploration, and multiple endings, so every choice you make could flip the story on its head. Think cyberpunk vibes mashed with supernatural lore, wrapped in a thriller-style narrative that keeps you guessing. Honestly, it feels like one of those games where you'll be wandering through neon ruins, fighting off machine zealots, and constantly muttering, "Bro, what is even going on?" And that's exactly why I'm hyped.
Searching for truth. An abandoned, poisoned wasteland, crawling with creatures beyond imagination. Down here, humans don't belong. For those who left the city, it's a one-way ticket. Go for a reason. This evolution of the machines was not random. There's something vast behind it. And it's coming for everyone, not just the machines. The people in the cities don't know it yet. But soon they will.
OnTOS is the kind of game that makes you sit up and go, oh man, Frictional Games is back to mess with my brain again. So here's the rundown. OnTOS is a sci-fi mystery thriller from the creators of Amnesia and Soma, revealed at the Game Awards 2025 and dropping in 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. You play as Aditi Amani, an engineer exploring Samsara, a repurposed moon hotel built over the ruins of a failed mining colony, while chasing the truth about her estranged father. And this isn't just some spooky hallway simulator. Samsara is a labyrinth where reality fractures, experiments twist morality, and every corner feels like it's hiding something you don't want to see. The cast even includes Stellan Skarsgård, which means the storytelling chops are serious. Think Soma's existential dread, but cranked up with next-gen visuals, open interconnected environments, and choices that make you question what's real. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I don't trust anything in here," while still pushing forward because you have to know what's behind the next door.
Push the very limits until your reality itself breaks.
Aphelion is the kind of game that makes you stop scrolling and go, all right, this one's different. So here's the rundown. Aphelion is a brand new sci-fi action adventure from Don't Nod, yep, the folks behind Life is Strange and Vampire, revealed at the Xbox Game Showcase 2025 and set to launch in 2026 on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. You play as astronaut Ariane, stranded on the frozen planet Persephone, trying to rescue her wounded partner Thomas while unraveling the eerie secrets of this icy wasteland tech radar. What makes it stand out is the mix of cinematic storytelling, stealth, and survival mechanics, plus the fact it's being developed in collaboration with the European Space Agency, so expect a layer of realism most sci-fi games don't even attempt. The vibe is emotional, tense, and atmospheric, with next-gen visuals that make Persephone feel both breathtaking and terrifying. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I'm freezing just watching this," while still glued to the screen, desperate to see what's lurking under all that ice.
I got this.
Oh, shit.
I'm not alone.
What the hell?
It's stalking me. Crap, no! Oh, no. No. Mission control. Anybody copy? Holy shit. What are you?
Ballad of Antara is one of those games that instantly makes you go, okay, this could be the next big Souls-like obsession. Developed by Tipsworks Studio under Infold Games, it's a free-to-play fantasy action RPG dropping in 2025 on PS5, PC, and mobile. The setup is wild, the world's been wrecked by an ancient force that twisted the land's essences, and you're teaming up with emissaries, basically super-powered beings tied to those essences, while journeying alongside Dromos, a mysterious girl trying to reunite the shattered world. Combat is clearly inspired by Souls-like mechanics, so expect punishing fights, tactical dodges, and that sweet adrenaline rush when you finally take down a boss. But it's not just about grinding through battles. The devs are promising a rich narrative, cinematic flair, and a world that feels alive with lore and danger. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be yelling at your screen after every brutal fight, then immediately diving back in because the vibe, the mystery, and the sheer spectacle are too good to walk away from.
Dust of forgotten miracles! Rain fire from above!
This desolate land needs a sprinkle of madness.
Remember, no matter what happens, we did not betray this world.
Black State is one of those upcoming titles that makes you sit up and go, okay, this is going to be wild. Developed by Motion Blur and powered by Unreal Engine 5, it's basically Metal Gear Solid stealth vibes mashed with the reality-bending mechanics of Portal. You're playing as a former military legend pulled into a mysterious mission by a secret group called the Architects, tasked with rescuing a captive scientist and uncovering the truth behind a cataclysmic event. The world is photorealistic, dripping with atmosphere, and every door you open feels like it could flip the rules of reality on their head. Combat is brutal, tactical, and cinematic, while the story promises emotional twists and deep characters that keep you guessing. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be sneaking through corridors muttering, "Bro, I don't trust what's behind that door," while still grinning because the mix of stealth, sci-fi, and mind-bending mechanics is just too good to pass up.
final chapter. Let it learn. Keep firing! It's only a waste of ammo! You think I need them for power? Oh, how amusing!
Blackwood is one of those games that instantly makes you go, all right, this is basically John Wick if he owned a DVD store. Set in 2012 New York, it's a cinematic third-person action thriller from Atredo M7 Productions, dropping in Q3 2026 on PC. You play as Anton Blackwood, a guy living a double life. By day, he's running a quiet little DVD shop in Brooklyn, but by night, he's a ruthless assassin caught up in a brutal underworld. The gameplay mixes grounded melee combat, slick gunplay, and savage takedowns, all wrapped in a photorealistic Unreal Engine 5 package that screams high production value. What's cool is the duality. You're balancing Anton's softer side, seen by the people close to him, with the violent reality he can't escape. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, this fight choreography is insane," while still glued to the screen because the story's cinematic flair keeps pulling you deeper.
Today.
Put some ice on it. Good night,
Look for the gap
Anton.
in left center. That's rolling all the way to the wall. He's around first. Digging.
Breathage 2 is basically shaping up to be the chaotic space survival sequel none of us knew we needed, but all of us secretly wanted. So here's the deal. You're sent on a reckless mission into deep space, and instead of just floating around fixing oxygen leaks like in the first game, now you're managing a whole crew, building bases, crafting gear, and yes, still babysitting that ridiculous chicken mascot while trying to take down an evil space corporation. The devs at Red Ruin Softworks are leaning hard into the mix of comedy and survival, so expect plenty of absurd humor alongside genuinely tense exploration and resource management. It's got that open-world sandbox vibe where every corner of space feels like it's hiding something dangerous or hilarious, and the visuals are cranked up with Unreal Engine polish to make the void look stunningly alive. Launch is planned for the first quarter of 2026 on PC, with a demo already out on Steam, and honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be laughing at the absurdity 1 second and panicking about oxygen the next. Cairn is one of those games that instantly makes you go, all right, this isn't just another climbing sim, this is survival with style. Developed by the Game Bakers, the folks behind Fury and Haven, it's dropping January 29th, 2026 on PC and PS5, and it's all about tackling Mount Kami, a peak no one's ever conquered. You play as Ava, a professional mountaineer chasing the ascent of a lifetime. But here's the kicker, every move matters. You're not just spamming climb buttons, you're reading the rock face, plotting routes, managing pitons, and rationing resources while the mountain itself tries to break you. It's cinematic, atmospheric, and brutally unforgiving, with physics-driven gameplay that makes every slip feel terrifyingly real. And beyond the mechanics, there's a deeper narrative. Ava has to decide what sacrifices she's willing to make to reach the summit, which means it's not just about survival, it's about ambition, obsession, and the cost of chasing impossible dreams. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, my palms are sweating," while still refusing to quit because the climb feels too epic to walk away from.
I don't know how you do it.
The mountain is in my gut, deep inside. There's only the mountain.
Canyons is one of those upcoming games that makes you go, all right, this is chaos, but in the best way possible. So here's the deal. It's a third-person action shooter from Red Ruins Softworks, published by Hype Train Digital, set in a procedurally generated post-apocalyptic world where literally anything can come alive and try to kill you. You're exiled to the canyons, surviving on top of massive landships called crawlers, while fighting off mysterious enemies known as the Awakened. The game lets you roll solo or team up in co-op with up to 4 players, and it's not just about blasting enemies. You're also building havens, commanding crawlers, and adapting to a brutal living world that changes every run. Think looter-shooter meets survival sim, with base building and insane emergent gameplay baked in. Honestly, it looks like one of those titles where you'll be yelling, "Bro, did that rock just attack me?" while laughing and scrambling with your squad to stay alive, and that's exactly why it's catching so much hype.
Goddamn train!
Looks like a couple defiled over there.
Carmageddon Rogue Shift is back, baby, and it's looking absolutely insane. So here's the deal. The legendary car combat series is being reinvented by 34 Big Things, the folks behind Redout, and it's dropping in 2026 with a roguelite twist. Instead of just mowing down pedestrians for points like the old days, now you're tearing through a post-apocalyptic wasteland in 2050, smashing zombie hordes called the Wasted, upgrading your ride, and adapting to randomized chaos every run. The devs are promising silky arcade handling mixed with brutal vehicular mayhem, so expect to crumple opponents, paint the streets red, and laugh maniacally while your car becomes a literal killing machine. It's single-player focused, but dripping with replayability thanks to roguelite mechanics, meaning no 2 nights of carnage will play out the same. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be yelling, "Bro, did I just drift through a pack of zombies?" while grinning ear to ear because Carmageddon is back to remind us that destruction can be pure entertainment. Chronicles. Medieval is one of those games that makes you go, all right, this is basically the medieval sandbox we've all been waiting for. Developed by Raw Power Games and heading into early access on Steam in 2026, it throws you into a brutal living European world where you start from nothing and claw your way up to power. You're not just swinging swords, you're building castles, leading armies, trading, dabbling in diplomacy, and carving out your legacy in a realm that reacts to every choice you make. The combat promises large-scale battles and gritty melee clashes, while the sandbox lets you decide whether you're a ruthless warlord, a savvy merchant, or a scheming noble. It's moddable, co-op friendly, and dripping with that write-your-own-story vibe, so no 2 players' journeys will look the same. Honestly, it feels like one of those games where you'll be yelling, "Bro, I just conquered half the map with nothing but grit," while still plotting your next move because the world keeps pushing back in ways you didn't expect.
Only one ending. I shall find no peace. On this road, there is only death. But that's just my story. Go write your own.
Crisol. Theater of Idols is one of those horror games that makes you go, bro, this is messed up, but I can't look away. Developed by Vermilla Studios and published by Blumhouse Games, it's dropping in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, and it throws you into Hispania, a twisted, nightmarish reimagining of Spain. You play as Gabriel, a soldier who literally uses his own blood as both weapon and lifeline, exploring the cursed island of Tormentosa while uncovering the disappearance of the sun god. The vibe is drenched in Spanish religious iconography, Gothic architecture, and folklore, so every enemy feels like it crawled straight out of a nightmare sermon. Combat is brutal, survival is tense, and the atmosphere is dripping with dread. You're constantly balancing risk and sacrifice because bleeding yourself dry might be the only way to fight back. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, bro, I'm terrified, but I gotta see what's behind that door while sweating bullets, and that's exactly why horror fans are hyped.
To you. Consumed in your flames for all eternity, now and forever. Crisol.
Defect is one of those upcoming shooters that makes you go, alright, this is Cyberpunk Chaos turned up to 11. Developed by Empty Vessel with ex-Call of Duty, Quake, and Doom devs, it's a squad-based immersive FPS set in a dystopian city ruled by an authoritarian AI called The System. You're thrown into PvPvE madness with 4v4v4v4 multi-objective battles, where factions clash using futuristic weapons, gadgets, and brutal tactics. The vibe is pure neon-drenched anarchy. Think Judge Dredd meets Rainbow Six Siege with a dash of Blade Runner. And it's not just multiplayer carnage, there's also single-player and co-op modes for those who want to dive deeper into the lore of humanity's last city. With Unreal Engine 5 visuals, Mick Gordon's heavy soundtrack, and procedural generation promising replayability, it looks like one of those games where you'll be yelling, bro, I just defected mid-match and flipped the whole fight while grinning ear to ear. Honestly, this could be the next big cyberpunk shooter to shake things up.
Prejudice. Consciousness transfer approved. No! Multiple gang units converging on your position. Wipe the drive and reboot the block. What did they promise you? Freedom, family, the system knows you're one of us.
Gothic 1 Remake is basically the return of a cult classic RPG that defined the early 2000s, rebuilt from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5 by Alchemia Interactive and published by THQ Nordic. Launching in early 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S, it throws you back into the Valley of Mines, a brutal prison colony where survival means picking sides, earning respect, and clawing your way up from nothing. The devs are promising a faithful recreation of the original's gritty vibe, but with modern combat, cinematic storytelling, and a dynamic open world that reacts to your choices. You'll still be that nameless hero, but now every fight, every faction alliance, and every decision looks and feels way more visceral thanks to next-gen visuals and updated mechanics. Honestly, it's shaping up to be one of those games where you'll be muttering, bro, I can't believe they actually pulled this off, while grinning ear to ear, because Gothic's legendary atmosphere is finally getting the remake treatment fans have been begging for.
You might dismiss their culture as primitive, but it would be prudent to study them carefully. Maybe the key to all of this lies buried deep under their sanctuaries. I cannot unravel these mysteries all alone. I need allies. Allies who look out for more than their own survival. Allies who accomplish things you might have considered impossible. Allies I will meet soon enough.
Halloween. The game is finally giving slasher fans what they've been begging for, a chance to step right into Haddonfield and either run for your life or become the boogeyman himself. Developed by IllFonic in partnership with Gun Interactive, Compass International Pictures, and Further Front, it's dropping in 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. The setup is asymmetric stealth horror, so you can play as survivors trying to outwit Michael Myers or flip the script and stalk them as the masked killer. It's dripping with John Carpenter vibes, from the eerie atmosphere to that iconic soundtrack, and the devs are promising both single-player and multiplayer modes, so you can either immerse yourself solo or scream with friends. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I'm not opening that door," while still inching forward because the tension is just too good. And if you've ever wanted to swing that oversized kitchen knife at unsuspecting teens, well, this is your shot.
He returned home. But what happened that night was only the beginning. It wasn't just a killing spree, it was a reckoning.
Whoa, calm down.
He was going to reach it. Come on,
What was that?
we have to go.
No.
You can't stop him. You can't reason with him. You can't kill the boogeyman.
Hell Let Loose Vietnam is basically the franchise's leap from World War II trenches straight into the jungles of Southeast Asia, and man, it looks intense. Developed by Expression Games and published by Team 17, it's dropping in 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Picture this: 50 versus 50 battles, but instead of tanks rolling through Europe, you've got squads trudging through dense jungle, patrol boats cutting across rivers, and helicopters swooping in to drop troops or unleash firepower. The devs are leaning hard into cinematic realism, so expect that gritty, chaotic vibe you've seen in Vietnam War films: sunset firefights, ambushes in the brush, and the constant paranoia of not knowing where the enemy's hiding. It's still the same hardcore tactical shooter DNA, meaning teamwork, communication, and strategy are everything, but now layered with new mechanics like aerial support and river combat. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be yelling, "Bro, I can't see a thing in this jungle," while still grinning because the chaos feels so authentic. Hello Sunshine is one of those upcoming survival mystery games that makes you go, "Bro, this is Fallout meets the Iron Giant," and I'm kinda here for it. Developed by Red Thread Games, yeah, the team behind The Longest Journey and Dreamfall, it drops you into the sun-scorched ruins of a collapsed corporate empire where machines just refuse to shut down. You play as the last employee of that empire, wandering through deserts by day in the shadow of a towering war robot, scavenging supplies, dodging drones, and piecing together what went wrong. When night hits, the wasteland freezes, so you huddle close to your mechanical guardian, crafting gear, cooking, and repairing it to survive another day. It's got that eerie mix of survival mechanics, mystery storytelling, and cinematic flair, with co-op options if you want to suffer with a friend. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I'm freezing and terrified, but I can't stop playing," while still pushing forward because the vibe is too unique to quit. Hunger is one of those upcoming games that makes you go, "Bro, this is Hunt." Showdown meets Bloodborne, but set in plague-ravaged Europe. Developed by Good Fun Corporation, the team that originally created Hell Let Loose, it's a PvPvE extraction RPG dropping soon on Steam and Epic, set in Napoleonic Europe where a rabies-like virus called the Hunger has turned the continent into a nightmare. You play as one of the living, survivors trying to scavenge resources, craft gear, and protect the chateau from infected hordes while also fighting rival players who want the same loot. The vibe is grim, atmospheric, and brutally unforgiving, with melee and ranged combat that feels weighty and desperate. It's got long-term progression, questing, and crafting baked in, so every run isn't just about surviving, it's about building your legacy in a world that wants you dead. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I barely made it out alive," while still queuing up for another round because the tension and chaos are just too addictive. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando is basically the love letter to 80s action horror chaos we didn't know we needed. Dropping March 12th, 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, it's a co-op FPS from Saber Interactive and Focus Entertainment, with Carpenter himself credited as writer and composer. The setup? A megacorp drills into the Earth's core, unleashes the sludge god, and suddenly the world is crawling with sludge-mutated zombies and eldritch nightmares. You're not some elite squad, nah, you're the Toxic Commandos, a ragtag bunch of mercs hired because the real pros were too expensive. Gameplay is all about teaming up with up to 3 buddies, driving across semi-open maps, blasting hordes, and laughing at the absurdity while Carpenter's signature synths crank up the tension. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be yelling, "Bro, I just drifted through sludge zombies with a machine gun blazing," while grinning ear to ear because it's pure campy carnage wrapped in cinematic flair. Light No Fire is one of those games that makes you go, "Bro, this might actually change how we think about open worlds." Coming from Hello Games, the studio behind No Man's Sky, it's set on a fantasy planet literally the size of Earth, meaning you can climb mountains, cross oceans, and explore entire continents without hitting invisible walls. The vibe is survival meets RPG, so you're not just wandering, you're building, crafting, fighting enemies, and shaping your own story in a living, procedurally generated world. The devs are promising co-op play too, so you can team up with friends to tackle biomes, uncover secrets, and survive together. What's wild is the scale. It's not just big map hype, it's a planet-sized sandbox where every adventure feels unique. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just climbed Everest and fought a dragon at the top," while still grinning because the freedom is so ridiculous. Longevity Yin and Yang is one of those upcoming action RPGs that makes you go, "Hey bro, this is basically Black Myth, Wukong meets Sekiro, but with its own crazy twist." Developed by Chinese indie studio 11 Games in Unreal Engine 5, it's set in the Ming Dynasty and dives deep into ancient ruins, imperial secrets, and the mythic obsession with eternal life. The combat is pure Wuxia Souls-like, fast, punishing, and cinematic, so every duel feels like a high-stakes martial arts showdown. The devs are promising around 40 to 50 hours of single-player content, multiple difficulty modes, and accessibility options, which means it's not just hardcore but also flexible for different players. The vibe is drenched in Chinese mythology, with comparisons already being made to Black Myth, Wukong, and Zhongkui, so expect a mix of folklore, supernatural enemies, and jaw-dropping visuals. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, this boss fight is insane," while still grinning because the atmosphere and combat are just too good to put down. Menace is one of those upcoming tactical RPGs that feels like XCOM meets Battle Brothers, and it looks brutal. Developed by Overhyped Studios, the same crew behind Battle Brothers, and published by Hooded Horse, it's dropping February 5th, 2026 on PC. The setup is pure sci-fi chaos. You're leading a strike force against an alien threat, answering distress calls across different worlds, and managing everything from infantry squads to tanks and mechs. It's got that layered gameplay where you're not just fighting turn-based battles, you're also training soldiers, customizing gear, and making tough choices that shape the campaign. The vibe is dark, cinematic, and unforgiving, with every mission feeling like a desperate gamble against overwhelming odds. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just lost half my squad to a bad call," while still grinning because the tension and strategy are so addictive. Mortal Shell 2 is coming in 2026, and honestly, it looks like the sequel Souls-like fans have been waiting for. Developed again by Cold Symmetry and published by PlayStack, it's taking everything brutal and atmospheric from the first game and cranking it up. This time you step into the role of the Harbinger, tasked with reclaiming the stolen ova of Undermeather from grotesque, nightmarish creatures, and the vibe is pure dark fantasy horror. The reveal trailer already showed off massive bosses, twisted environments, and a heavy metal soundtrack that perfectly matches the gory combat. Expect the same unforgiving gameplay loop, precise dodges, punishing parries, and that tense feeling of one wrong move and you're done, but layered with deeper lore and more varied shells to inhabit. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I hate this boss, but I love this game," while still diving back in because the mix of despair, challenge, and atmosphere is just too addictive to resist. Neo Berlin 2087 is one of those games that feels like cyberpunk noir turned into a playable movie. Developed by Elysium Game Studio, it's a third and first-person action RPG set in a dystopian Berlin where neon lights hide corruption, betrayal, and a conspiracy that could tear the city apart. You play as Nolan, a detective with a troubled past, tasked with protecting Natalie, the daughter of the murdered police chief, while unraveling the mystery behind her father's death. The vibe is pure cinematic thriller, stealth, shooting, and investigation, all wrapped in Unreal Engine 5 visuals that make the city feel alive and oppressive at the same time. The devs are promising emotional storytelling about justice, guilt, and sacrifice, with gameplay that shifts seamlessly between detective work and brutal combat. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I feel like I'm inside Blade Runner," while still grinning because the mix of RPG depth and cyberpunk atmosphere is just too good to pass up.
You think you're solving the case. This is so much bigger. What if the case is you?
The world only works with order. Without order, chaos breaks out. It's out of balance and we must restore it. Do you understand that, Nolan?
Yes.
Nolan, what have you done?
No More Light is one of those upcoming survival shooters that looks like straight-up nightmare fuel. Developed by Para 51 Games and Invictus, it's set in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity's last remnants are fighting off an alien insectoid invasion. The twist? You're not just blasting bugs, you're literally turning enemies into weapons, undergoing grotesque metamorphoses, and even manipulating weather to survive. Built in Unreal Engine 5, the game promises a massive open world dripping with atmosphere, where every run feels like a desperate gamble between survival and mutation. It's narrative-driven, but also brutal and experimental, with mechanics that push you to sacrifice pieces of yourself for power. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just grew claws mid-fight and wrecked a swarm," while still grinning because the chaos is so wild. If you're into dark sci-fi survival with a heavy dose of body horror, this one's definitely worth keeping on your radar. Norse Oath of Blood is shaping up to be one of those tactical RPGs where you'll be yelling, "This is Vikings meets XCOM, and it's brutal." Developed by Arctic Hazard and published by Tripwire Presents, it's dropping February 3rd, 2026 on PC, and it throws you straight into Viking Age Norway. You play as Gunnar, a young warrior forced into exile after his father, Jarl Gripper, is murdered by Steinar Farspear. From there, it's all about rebuilding your settlement, forging alliances, and leading your warband in turn-based tactical battles that mix gritty realism with mythic atmosphere. The game isn't just about combat. You're managing farmers, craftspeople, and warriors, balancing survival with vengeance, and every decision shapes your saga. With lore crafted alongside best-selling author Giles Christian, expect bone-crunching battles, political intrigue, and a story dripping with blood and honor. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just lost half my warband, but I'm still coming back for revenge," because the mix of strategy and Viking grit is too addictive.
And through famine, you must be the wise arbiter of their disputes. You must forge blades and build ships. You must lead your warriors in battle. Stand like a rock in the blood fray with them. Reward them with meat and mead and silver. This is what I have been waiting for. Protect their women and their young ones. And protect your own honor, too. Traitor! Will you do all this, Gunnar, son of Gripper? Will you swear it here, before these people and before the gods?
I swear it. I swear it!
Replaced is one of those games that makes you say, "This is Cyberpunk meets retro 80s dystopia, and it looks gorgeous." Developed by Sad Cat Studios and published by Coatsink/Thunderful, it's dropping March 12th, 2026 on PC and Xbox Series X and S. You play as REACH, an AI unwillingly trapped in a human body, navigating Phoenix City, an alternate 1980s America scarred by nuclear catastrophe, where human life is literally traded like currency REPLACED. The vibe is pure cinematic platformer, fluid parkour, melee combos chained with slick gunplay, and neon-soaked alleys dripping with atmosphere. It's a 2.5D action thriller, so you're moving through crumbling districts, industrial wastelands, and shady corporate strongholds while uncovering the sinister agenda behind your creation. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just punched a thug, vaulted a wall, and shot 3 guys midair while grinning ear to ear," because the mix of story, style, and combat is just too good to pass up. Screamer is back, and honestly, it looks wild, like arcade racing fused with anime-style chaos. Developed by Milestone, this 2026 release reimagines the classic 1995 racer into a futuristic, story-driven combat racing game where every car isn't just for speed, it's a weapon. You're thrown into a dystopian tournament where each driver has their own backstory, and the cutscenes are crafted with Japanese animation flair to make it feel like you're watching an anime while playing. The vibe is pure adrenaline, high-speed tracks, merciless vehicular combat, and a narrative that actually gives weight to why you're racing. It's coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, so expect next-gen visuals and physics that make every crash feel bone-crunching. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be yelling, "Bro, I just drifted through a rocket barrage and still won," while grinning ear to ear, because Screamer is clearly aiming to be more than just a racer. It's a full-blown cinematic ride.
Finally.
Hello? We're here for the tournament.
Sea of Remnants is one of those games that feels like Sea of Thieves, but darker and way more mysterious. Developed by Joker Studio under NetEase Games, it's dropping in 2026 on PS5, PC, iOS, and Android as a free-to-play ocean adventure RPG. You play as a puppet-like sailor who's lost all memories, teaming up with a mysterious girl to uncover the legend of a cursed sea where answers supposedly lie beyond the moonseaofremnants.com. The vibe is pure high seas survival mixed with fantasy, dynamic weather, pirate battles, exploration, and a bond system that lets you build relationships with allies while shaping your own destiny. Every voyage feels like a gamble. Fortune and fame rise with the tides, but bones and wrecks settle beneath them. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just barely survived that storm while fighting pirates," and still grinning because the mix of mystery, danger, and adventure is just too addictive. Solasta 2 is coming in early access on March 12, 2026, and honestly, it looks like the perfect follow-up for fans of tactical, tabletop-inspired RPGs. Developed by Tactical Adventures, it expands on the D&D style systems of the first game, but throws us into a brand new setting, the fractured world of Neokos, where factions are constantly clashing and you've got to decide who's friend or foe. The vibe is pure dice roll drama, turn-based combat, branching dialogue, and party management that feels straight out of a pen and paper campaign, but wrapped in slick Unreal Engine visuals. The devs are teasing deeper faction politics, a sprawling world map, and new character classes, so it's not just more of the same, it's bigger, bolder, and way more immersive. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, my bard just crit failed at the worst possible time," while still grinning, because the chaos and storytelling are exactly what makes these RPGs so addictive. Swords of Legends is one of those games that makes you go, "This is Chinese mythology turned into a full-blown cinematic RPG." Developed by Oregon Shanghai and published by Wangyuan Shengtang, it's basically the long-awaited return of the Gujian series after 15 years, now rebuilt in Unreal Engine 5 for PC and consoles. You play as Si Pan, an underworld enforcer reborn to bring his wrath into the mortal realm, wielding mystical techniques, divine artifacts, and even captured souls that fight alongside you. The vibe is pure Wuxia meets Souls-like, with fast-paced combat, sweeping storylines, and visuals that look like they were ripped straight out of legendary Chinese literature. What's wild is that this isn't just another MMO spin-off, it's a single-player action RPG dripping with folklore, cultural depth, and emotional storytelling. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, this boss fight feels like a myth come alive," while still grinning because the mix of combat, atmosphere, and narrative is just too good to pass up.
What? So was das?
The living cast their dead to flame, and sacrifice ignites the war banners!
Here we go again.
The Expanse, Osiris Reborn is shaping up to be one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, this feels like Mass Effect meets The Expanse, and I'm all in." Developed by Owlcat Games, it's a third-person sci-fi action RPG set in the gritty universe of The Expanse, where Earth, Mars, and the Belt are on the brink of collapse and trust is basically a rare commodity. You play as the commander of the Pinkwater Security Merc Squad, piloting a space frigate while juggling survival, politics, and crew loyalty. The story kicks off on asteroid Eros, but quickly spirals into a solar system-wide conspiracy, forcing you to adapt and keep your ragtag team together as everything falls apart. Expect cinematic storytelling, tense combat, and choices that actually shape your path through the chaos. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be yelling, "Bro, I just barely kept my crew alive during that spacewalk," while still grinning because the mix of RPG depth and Expanse-style realism is just too good to pass up.
The largest port in the belt, with a bar guide the size of the UNN's desk jockey manual. You told me you were tired of bars just yesterday. I said I'm tired of drinking with Luciana. She remembers too much and me too little. Forget series then. My suggestion? Eros.
The Godslayer is one of those upcoming RPGs that feels like Avatar, The Last Airbender meets steampunk fantasy, and it looks insane. Developed by Pythia Games, the folks behind My Time at Portia, it's an open-world action RPG set in an Eastern-inspired metropolis where celestial gods rule with an iron fist. You play as an Elemancer, a warrior infused with elemental powers who's basically done taking orders from divine overlords, and your mission is to dethrone them all. The vibe is cinematic martial arts mixed with flashy elemental combat. Think fire whips, lightning strikes, and earth-shattering moves, all wrapped in Unreal Engine visuals that make the city feel alive and oppressive. The devs are promising a premium single-player experience across PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X/S, with a story about vengeance, rebellion, and rising against impossible odds. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just drop-kicked a god with a thunderstorm," while still grinning, because the mix of combat, lore, and atmosphere is just too good to pass up. The Mound. Omen of Cthulhu is Lovecraft turned into full-blown co-op chaos. Developed by Ace Team and published by Nacon, it's dropping in summer 2026 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. The setup is pure survival horror. You and up to 3 friends form a squad of explorers diving into a cursed jungle where reality itself twists under the influence of monstrous beings tied to the mythos. It's first person, dripping with atmosphere, and every step feels like the jungle is trying to eat you alive. You're scavenging for treasure, dodging horrors that warp perception, and trying to keep your sanity intact while the environment itself mutates around you. The vibe is tense, unpredictable, and cinematic, with Ace Team promising that teamwork and clear-headedness are the only way to survive. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I swear that tree just moved," while still grinning because the mix of co-op fun and cosmic dread is just too good to pass up. War of the Worlds. Siberia looks like H.G. Wells meets Metro, and it's looking insane. Set in an alternate, late 19th century Russian Empire, it reimagines the Martian invasion not in London, but across Petrograd and the frozen wilderness of Siberia. You play as a young student separated from his loved ones, forced to survive against alien tripods, black smoke, and hostile factions while navigating a brutal landscape. Built in Unity 6 by 1C Games, it's a third-person action-adventure blending narrative survival with cinematic combat. Think Uncharted or The Last of Us, but dripping with steampunk Russian vibes. The gameplay mixes exploration, scavenging, and makeshift explosives with tense encounters against both human enemies and alien machines. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just dodged a tripod in the snow while fighting bandits," and still grinning, because the mix of survival, story, and atmosphere is just too good to pass up.
Вниз! Стой, тварь! Это же предатель! предательство!
Оно самое, юноша. Оно самое.
Wuchi the Wayfarer feels like Korea's answer to Black Myth, Wukong, and it looks stunning. Developed by Lore Vault and published by Nexon Games, it's a single-player fantasy action-adventure inspired by the classic Korean tale The Tale of John Wuchi, set in the Joseon era. Built in Unreal Engine 5, the game promises a mix of cinematic storytelling, martial arts combat, and mystical powers that feel both culturally authentic and globally relatable. You'll step into the shoes of Wuchi, a trickster hero navigating a world of gods, demons, and political intrigue with visuals that look straight out of a historical epic. The devs are hyping it as an emotional journey that blends traditional Korean folklore with modern action gameplay, aiming to resonate with players worldwide. Honestly, it looks like one of those games where you'll be muttering, "Bro, I just unleashed a spell straight out of a legend," while still grinning, because the mix of myth, combat, and atmosphere is just too good to pass up.
기어코 여기까지. 참으로 정성이십니다.
And that's the list. If any of these caught your eye, let me know which ones you're keeping tabs on. Drop a like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more upcoming games without the hype nonsense, and I'll see you in the next one.